Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD, and welcome to episode 101. We did it, everybody. Thank you everyone who came out last week for episode 100. Few admin notices. I have no idea what was going on with the stream that was making it so choppy and bouncy and not goody. I've streamed and recorded since I made that stream, and there's been no issues whatsoever. So I have no idea why that was such an issue. Absolutely no idea at all. So I apologize for that. I have downloaded the VOD off Twitch because that seems to be in a much better state than the recording. I think the problem was I was recording and streaming at the same time, which I normally do on Football Manager, but that's a less CPU heavy game, so I guess it causes less issues. I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really know what went on there, but it wasn't very good, I can tell you that much. But anyway, welcome to episode 101, and welcome to Ribbons of Roads, because today we are finally completing the Gardcity Orbital, as well as actually starting to use the Gardcity Orbital, which is very good and very exciting. This is partially, I was looking to do other things with road anyway, but this is partially due to a question that I had from Discord for episode 100. I think it was Master Trams who asked me about motorways and A-roads on the map, which is a very good point. I realised we didn't have many. The ones we did have, we had the mothballed road around Wenfingfield, the mothballed road around Great Wintfield, a couple of dual carriageways through Wenfingfield and Gardcity, and then this, the Gardcity Orbital, which, for those of you who don't know, this is the equivalent, the Gardcity equivalent of the M25 in London. So the M25 is the London Orbital Road. I used to think this was quite a rare thing to have a motorway circling a city. It turns out I think London was one of the last major cities in the world to actually have an orbital road built. We do have the north and south orbitals in London itself, but the M25 is an external road. In other words, it is outside the city limits. In fact, it's outside the congestion charge zone. Try saying that when you've just woken up. And yeah, it's Britain's biggest car park most of the time, let's be honest. There's so much traffic, and I'm using that road a lot at the moment, which means I'm stuck in traffic a lot. Not fun. But yeah, I wanted to build something like that with Gardcity, and we started it a long time ago on a stream, and it never got finished. So I thought, why not actually go ahead and finish it? So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm actually upgrading the roads. You'll notice the roads on the network look completely different to how they looked last episode. I went on to the content downloader and I downloaded Timberwolf's roads. I will add that to the NewGRF folder when the next version of the map gets released. But I like these roads. I didn't actually know that they had speed limits attached to them. I actually downloaded them because they had different textures. So A roads look different to motorways, for example. And then you had like cobble streets and you had concrete streets, and I thought it looked really cool. So I thought, yeah, I'll add that. And it's only when I added it and started playing around with it that I realized they actually had speed limits too, which I think is even more awesome. So huge thanks to Timberwolf for creating the set. Big fan of that. And here I am using it. So the motorway set is being used here for the Gardcity Orbital. You can see I'm having to one-way these roads because I forgot to do it when I first built them, which caused some problems. And here was the current end of the Gardcity Orbital, which is just outside Great Wintfield Airport. That's up to the east, top right corner of the screen. And I wanted to extend the orbital right the way round back to Junction 1, which is over by Wrenston Interchange. The big bridge actually that goes over Daningpool Bridge that gives it its name is the Gardcity Orbital Road Bridge. That's the origin story of that. So yeah, this road now continues, but I had to rebuild this junction, and you'll see me build some brand new junctions, some existing junctions, all that good stuff, upgrading roads. It was a bit of a slog, I won't lie. It took me 2-3 hours to complete this project, but definitely worth it in the long run. Definitely worth it in the long run. Very happy with the final result. You also notice that I actually had a plan for this road. I kind of followed it, sort of. I didn't go too far off piste, let's put it that way. But yeah, overall, as I said, It's a good road in some regards, and it's a bad road in others. One thing I've learned from this project, you'll see me add some vehicles a little later on in the episode to try and actually get this thing populated and running. But one thing I've noticed is road vehicles in this game are incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid. And by that I mean, I set up a coach route between Wenthingfield Western Station and Gard Lake, which you'll see me do in a minute. And I just assumed the bus would take the fastest route, or the coach would take the fastest route. But I guess road vehicles aren't programmed to look for speed limits and look for things like that. So the vehicle actually looks just for the shortest straight line distance, which led it down a road into a city that I never even knew was connected to Gardcity via roads, and then into a dead end. So in the end, I had 5 or 6 coaches circling this one city because there was nowhere for them to go, which, as you can imagine, was not ideal. But there is a solution to that, which is to use waypoints. Now, with road vehicles, you can use bus stops and truck stops as waypoints. Again, it's not ideal. I need to learn, actually. Someone might be able to tell me this in the comments. Is there a keyboard shortcut when you're in the orders screen that allows you to do a non-stop via? So right now, you press the G key and it does go to. And then if you press Control, I think at the same time, it's a go via. I think that's right. Is there a way to do a non-stop via? Like, is it Control Alt or something like that? Because then I can set these up a lot easier and a lot quicker. Because right now, I've only got the entry junction and the exit junction with waypoints, and I think I need to have the whole road, really. It would make more sense, that's for sure. Also, very quickly, talking about the Gardcity Orbital, there are currently 32 junctions on the Orbital, and I think there's 27 on the M25. I might have got that wrong. Might be 26, actually. I can't remember off the top of my head. Cannot remember. Wish I could. But I think it's pretty realistic in that regard. We got lots of different junctions of lots of different designs. You can see one being added here as well. I'm going to try not to refer too much directly to what's happening on screen right now, just in case my audio goes a bit out of sync again, because despite the fact I mentioned that in the chat when I was premiering, people still chose to comment on it, telling me about it like I was new to it. I actually knew before the premiere. I watched the video back just to make sure things were okay, and noticed that huge blip, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but there we are. Was I away from home? I think I was away from home then as well, so I couldn't have even fixed it if I wanted to. So, annoying, for sure. And yeah, I was aware. So, normally I'm aware of things if they've gone wrong. Normally. Not always, but normally. So, if someone comments saying, just so you know, the audio is out of sync, don't be surprised if I reply saying, yeah, I know. It's just one of those things. Sometimes I don't have enough time to fix a video. Sometimes, bearing in mind that these videos, if they're an hour long, they take about that to render as well. And YouTube takes over 24 hours to process a 4K video, which is what these are. So if I make a mistake in a video, or the audio is out of sync, or whatever it might be, it's not just a simple case of go fix it and then re-upload it, because that can take 2 days. And I don't always have 2 days, which is why sometimes I'm a bit, blunt when someone points it out to me. And I don't mean to be. I apologise if I come off a little bit strong sometimes, but basically it's kind of, you get kicked when you're down and then and I've never been a fan of that, but that is YouTube for you. That's what people are like, unfortunately. Anyway, to go back to the subject. So this road links up lots and lots of towns and cities around Gardcity, some of which do have rail connections, some of which don't. Now, one thing I want to focus on now with the coaches in particular, the coaches have been included as part of Gardcity buses in terms of their route allocation. So you remember that, anything between 1 and 99 is GSG, anything between, I think it's 101 and 199 is, I want to say GSB, but I don't think that's right. Hang on a sec. I think it goes in clockwise. Oh, it is GSB. Yeah, then it's got GSJ, which is the 200s, GST is the 300s, and so on and so on and so on. Right smack bang in the middle of the city, we've got Gard Lake, which is basically going to be the hub for Gardcity Coaches. There will be buses that will connect to Gard Lake, but it will mostly be one stopper. I was about to say GSG as an example, but I keep reminding myself, no, not GSG, because GSG and GSMA are connected via Centre Rail, so they're not going to have buses running between Gard Lake and GSG. But between St Michael, St John, it might even be a St Michael, Gard Lake, St John type service. Although again, it's GSP actually that's connected via the boat via Gard Lake, I believe. Yeah, it's probably a good idea for me to not come up with this on the fly, to be honest, and actually sit down and plan it properly. But yeah, Gard Lake is going to be the Gardcity Coaches hub of the city. So there will be occasional buses that stop there, and maybe some taxis in the future as well. But predominantly it's going to be coaches only. And then from there they'll work their way out of the city onto the nearest A road, and then from there onwards to wherever it is they're going, basically. And I think that's a really, really good way of doing it. All these junctions will be future A roads, some of which will get built off camera, some of which might be built in the next episode. I want to extend this a lot more, and I've already asked for help on the Discord from people to actually plan these A roads properly. Now, I know that George sent me a PDF for, it's called Bus Back Better, which is an unusual name, should we say, but Bus Back Better, that's what it is. I will be referring to that throughout this episode. I'm going to try and recreate realistic services, not just for coaches but also buses. I'm focusing on coaches today to actually utilize these this motorway network that I've built, but the bus network is going to get an overhaul as well, and I'm going to start using buses a lot more. But I do need help with that, and I did ask for help, and people are going to help me, which is awesome. So I'm going to come up with some suggestions for services, and I'm going to post those in Discord, and it's going to be a real collaborative effort, hopefully, which is going to be awesome. I keep saying awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. There we go. So I was looking through this PDF that George sent me, and I had this little local pride moment where I read about something to do with Hertfordshire, and then I kind of thought about it for a minute and thought, this doesn't sound true. So the thing that I was referring to is to do with connecting buses better, creating better services for passengers. And there's this section here where it says Hertfordshire's Enhanced Partnership. So for those who don't know, I'm from Hertfordshire. That's why I don't pronounce my H's properly, or my T's for that matter, because I'm from Hertfordshire. But it says here, Hertfordshire County Council introduced Interlink, England's first enhanced partnership agreement, in April 2020. The partnership's objectives include prioritising bus services in traffic, closer integration of the bus network, including upgrading bus infrastructure, improving the image of bus travel, and using data and information. Then it goes on to say these objectives aim to keep passengers informed about available services, increase service frequencies, and improve reliability and coordination with other modes to encourage residents to make bus their first choice to get around their local area. That to me sounds like quite a lot of hooey. Reason being, I was driving through the centre of St Albans not long ago, and if you've ever been to St Albans, just don't try and drive down the high street at any time of day, because you'll be stuck in a queue of like 40 to 50 vehicles, and you'll regret all your life's choices that took you to that point. Anyway, we were driving along the high street. There were like 4 or 5 buses on that road, all of which were being blocked by cars, all of which were blocking other cars. I don't really think that's improved network. That's not an improved network. If anything, that's barely a network. I also know for a fact that my old university, the University of Hertfordshire, owns the bus company Uno. So if you've ever seen the purple buses driving around, that's the university's bus company. Apparently, again, this is a regular thing, but I thought for a long time that we were the only uni in the country that had its own bus company. But apparently it is a thing. Universities like to work with the local community, and that is one way in which they do it, which I think is awesome. I use awesome a lot, because apparently I'm a 90s skater dude. But yeah, I've not seen bus services be prioritised. There's maybe 1 or 2 junctions in the entirety of Hertfordshire where there's a bus lane, and buses sometimes have priority, but not always. To my knowledge, it's mostly, you know, every bus for itself. And also closer integration of the bus network, including upgrading bus infrastructure. This is partially true. When they rebuilt Hatfield Station, they turned the old car park into a new bus station, which does actually look pretty cool. But overall, it's mainly, you know, still they use the same roads as us. There's an old bus station in Hatfield near the Galleria Shopping Centre that was a bus station. It was the bus station for Hatfield. And then they built the Forum up at the university with a brand new bus station, and they just mothballed the old one, which I thought was really stupid. I think it was less than 3 years old when the Forum opened in 2009. And they just abandoned the one that they'd built. So that's ugly now. Just got this random bus station sitting under a hotel, not being used by anybody. Yeah. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. It's been a while since I used a bus for anything other than like an open top bus tour or to get to and from an airport car park. So I'm not the best person to talk to about all of this, but yeah. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I don't really know. But I'm going to work my way through this PDF. That's one of the points I was trying to make. And we will see how that influences the network moving forward. You'll also notice here where we are with the orbital. We're doing a lot of... So overall it's a full circle of the city, but we are doing a lot of sections like here where we turn north. It's mainly to encircle as many of these large towns and cities as possible in the greater Gardcity area and slightly beyond. So I think if I was to bring up the plan line that actually shows the greater Gardcity boundary, we would be well outside it right now. But I wanted to have this section anyway because I felt like this huge cluster of towns here should be connected. You'll also see that we bridged over the Great Northern Line at Don'tborough, just south of Don'tborough Station, where the big junctions are. And again, that gives you an idea as to how far outside Gardcity we actually are at this point. I think the M25, the furthest it gets from London is... Ooh, good question. I think actually it's around the western side when it goes round Heathrow. I think that's about as far as it gets from central London. And I think on the eastern side, I mean, Dartford and Dagenham, that area, it's quite a ways away from London, but not a huge way. I don't really know. I need to look at a map, to be honest, rather than just guess. But yeah, it's something like that. Something like that. Here I am just about to cross the Great Northern Main Line again. But again, it might not be the most realistic network in terms of how far away it is from the city that it claims to serve. And I did feel for a point that the coaches were travelling in the wrong direction to then travel in the right direction again, if that makes sense. So to get from Gard Lake to Wenfingfield, for example, the coach actually travels... I've got to try and remember this. Do I make it travel? I think because there's a section, there's an inner A road, like a ring road in Gardcity as well, that's constantly being severed. When every time I build a new rail link, for example, it gets severed. So when I built the Western Reaches South, that road got severed and I never built it back. So right now there's this big gap in the road. Once that's fixed, chances are this coach route will get rerouted. But right now it runs south. It joins the South Orbital, I think it's called, out of Victoria, and then it runs due south across, hang on, I've got to get this right, out to there's like a little U, upside down U-shaped road that I've got that connects to the orbital as well. So it runs south to that, then it runs on the western leg of that to the orbital, then it runs west. So you're basically running south to run northwest, which is not the most efficient, but once it gets on the motorway, it speeds up considerably, and it actually does make a huge difference, which is cool. But this is why I needed help with this, because right now I'm not 100% certain as to what I'm actually doing. So it'd be nice to have just other people, even if none of us know what we're doing, it'll be nice to have a collaborative effort so we're all wrong together at least, rather than just me being wrong, which is the norm. But yeah, we're coming into the home stretch now of the Gardcity Orbital. We're on the eastern leg. This was the bit that I was most looking forward to building, actually, because I was about to say relatively flat land, but it's not here. But you see what I mean? Like, it's all like grassland, woodland, that kind of thing. We're not really skirting around towns at this point. And there was a couple of junctions. There was one I just built, which I thought was quite different to some of the other ones on the network. There was the one I built just now as well that looked like a snail shell with like the spirals inside it, which I thought also looked really, really nice. And then I rebuilt this junction here as well, which used to be part of the orbital. You can see the old orbital there that runs across Plindon Bridge Parkway. I'm forgetting the names of all my stations now as well. That's incredible. Plindon Junction is on the Great Western. That's what confused me. Yeah, Plindon Bridge Parkway station. There's the old orbital that runs through there, and it like ducks under the high speed and over all the other stuff. And yeah, that's now part of. That is part of that orbital route that I was telling you about that needs rebuilding slightly further south. I think it's where the freight loop comes in as well. It needs rebuilding around there. There's a plan. I have a plan for what I would do with that given the chance. Just need to actually go and do it now, which would be nice. But yeah, this is one of the last junctions. This is junction 27, I think, that I'm building. Actually, is it junction? So hang on, there's 32 in total. I gotta remember now. There's 32 in total, and I'm trying to remember which one this is. I can't remember. But yeah, it's one of those. And then you get to see me build these like cool flyover junctions here as well. There's one. And I think I tweak this slightly. Do I tweak it slightly? No, I just leave it like that. I might tweak it slightly actually. Still. Maybe not. No? Apparently not. Oh yeah, I realised that there was no way to get from west to south, so I just fixed that quickly as well. And then here we go, upgrading the last little bit, and there's junction 1 of the Gardcity Orbital. So we made it, everybody. We made it. So yeah, at this point it's just about adding the junctions back in. They're not connected right now because road types, you can connect them head on like that, but you can't connect one to the other side on, so we'll have to go round again and just make sure they are all connected, because the last thing I want is for a bus to try and turn off the motorway and it can't, which I've already had that happen a couple of times. But yeah, we'll fix that, that's no problem. Now I was talking about using stops as waypoints. All I have to do really, you can now have stops on one-way roads, so I just need to find a point near a junction where I can put down a bus stop and a truck stop right next to it, because we're going to be using trucks on this route as well. And you can then route vehicles through it. As I said, if I had a keyboard shortcut for non-stop via, that would be great, because then I don't have to go and manually change them all myself. I can just click once and it's done. But that's something I'll wait for you guys in the comments. I've had a look on Google and I found a couple of wikis that have keyboard shortcuts, but none of them are for the JGR patch. So there might be a JGR specific keyboard shortcut that would actually help me out with what I'm trying to do. You'll also see some of these junctions are A and B. This is something else from the M25. So, for example, there is a junction that connects to the A41, which is near Watford and Hemel Hempstead. At the moment, that junction, there's a roundabout where you can go east or west on the A40. Actually, I think it's north or south on the A41, thinking about it. But there's also a secondary junction where you can just go south. And it feeds into the M25 and you turn off and then you join the A41 that runs south. That is an A junction, so it was a junction that was added afterwards to help with traffic flow around that roundabout, I imagine. And they named it, I think it's 21A, I think is the junction. And that's something, again, that I took inspiration from. So some of these towns, you'll see that there are 2 junctions, one at each end of the town. And I thought, why not make one of them A and one of them B? Technically, they're the same junction, but they're slightly staggered, so it makes more sense to do it like that, which I was a big fan of. I think it was Door West. That's something that I forgot to do on some of these junctions, and I had to go back and fix as well. So you'll also see earlier on in the video, I turned off the ability for towns to build roads. One thing I am going to do, and I forgot to mention this last week, but in the section where I wanted to talk about what would I change with the network. Timetabling is one thing. I want to talk about that a little bit more in this episode as well. But also, I want to go and make some of these towns and cities slightly smaller again. So go around with the magic bulldozer and just obliterate some of the towns and cities. Not like completely destroy them, obviously, but just make them smaller. And I've turned off the ability for towns and cities to build roads, just so I can control the sizes of these settlements a little bit more. Because right now, some of them are far, far, far too big. Far too big. And I want to go through and actually make them more realistically sized again. And there is one more thing I do. In fact, we'll skip to the second part of the video now. There we are. I really hope the audio is synced up, otherwise that's not going to work and someone's going to comment again. But yeah, here we are at Gard Lake, and I'm just transforming some of the roads here. I couldn't do all of them. I have to rebuild some of the roads to make it work. But yeah, I want to try and make all of these. So it's like a cobblestone street. I think it's called Set Road with 2 T's. And again, I think it looks kind of cool, actually. It kind of works. But this is me rebuilding Gard Lake bus station. There is a tram that runs through here as well. You'll see me reroute the tram in a second. But I wanted to make this look more like a bus station. So there's some eye candy that's going in a second. Is it Freedomon? Have I said that right? The person who created the objects. Again, let me just check that. It is Freedomon? Apologies if I'm really pronouncing your name wrong. But yeah, loads of really, really cool eye candy objects that I've been using, not just here, but across the network as a whole. I'm a huge fan of those, so thank you for creating those. And they've come in very handy for creating the bus station here. So this is the new Gard Lake bus station. This is entirely bus vehicles, passenger carrying vehicles. The mail stuff has been moved. You'll see me add that a little bit later on. But at this point, I'm just experimenting with different roof types here. You'll see the ones that I end up adding in just a second. Overall, again, though, I'm really happy with this like L-shaped canopy that I've created. I think it looks really, really cool. And it's really nice seeing the buses actually use it as well. I keep saying buses. If I say buses, I mean coaches, just so you know. These are coaches that are going to be using this station. I think here, yeah, I turn all of these through ones into terminus ones, just so I've got more room to add stuff like that. And then I add some stuff underneath the canopies there as well, just so that it looks like there's people walking around. Little angled one there. And what else do I add? I add like an underground bus garage entrance as well. You'll see me add that in a second. And it's just, at this point, I'm just experimenting. I'm looking at different options, seeing what looks good, what doesn't. Those stairs there are supposed to be an entrance to the HLR platforms on this side. You can imagine there's like a small ticket office underneath that canopy road, and then it leads through to those platforms. One thing you'll notice about the HLR stations is there's no obvious way to get from one platform to the other. Now obviously in real life there'd be stairs or a lift or a bridge of some kind, or maybe an underpass. But on here it wasn't immediately obvious. You can kind of imagine that there's an entrance from both sides, under the bus plaza and also now under that canopy road as well, because you might not necessarily be entering from the main station entrance. So I wanted to include that too. Here there's the underground bus depot entrance that I was talking about. I was just experimenting here a little bit more too. I think in the end I just decided to add a dead end bus terminus. There are the new mail platforms. It's going to be a little short hop really for Gard Lake. So there are aircraft flying into Gard Lake still. I've kind of come up with a solution to the problem I was having with the aircraft. We'll have to see how well that works. But the idea is small mail trucks will just hop between Gard Lake and the Gard Island sorting depot. Or maybe even just Card Town, just so that there's something going on. Now at this point, it looks like it's frozen. I assure you it hasn't. At this point I was trying to get up the service schedule sheet so I could start actually planning services. I was also getting up the station names and also the information sheet. That was the one I was trying to look for down below. You want the Gardcity M4J network, information sheets. That's the link you want to follow, and it will take you to the right page. And then you just click the third tab and you get to see all the route designations, including which bus routes are currently running and which ones are yet to run. So this is Riverside Road Depot here. This is about to get a serious upgrade. I checked to make sure there was nothing running from here. I believe this was always going to be the Gard Lake bus depot. I know in the bus episode I did mention which depots were for which stations. But I think that might change slightly, because I think this was originally the St. Peter, St. Michael one. Even though that's not true, because St. Michael is the St. Peter, St. Michael one. This might have been the GSMA one. Actually, no, that's got one too. Maybe this was always the Gard Lake one. Maybe I'm just getting myself confused. That's the likely option. But yeah, this is getting a serious upgrade now. So there's going to be some eye candy around here too. You'll notice there's mail trucks here as well. I think the mail trucks will also be based here, using the northern side of the site, and then this southern side of the site will be for coaches, specifically operating out of Gard Lake. There may be coaches operating from elsewhere, but I like the idea of a bit like Victoria Bus Station is the coach hub for London, or at least for the West End of London. There are others around London, I'm sure. But I wanted to have something like that here with Gardcity. And Gard Lake was very, very underutilised when it came to coaches and buses and things like that. So I thought, why not make that the central hub? It's right in the middle of the city as well. It's perfect. And then here I am upgrading some roads to A road standard. This is part of the internal dual carriageway system that I was talking about. You can see it's not the best looking thing I've ever built, but at this point it's kind of just integrated into the city now, so you're gonna have to kind of put up with it, I suppose. And then this is the, actually no, not this bit. There is a little bit that's the dead end that I was talking about that will get built. In fact, one of the first things I will do once I've recorded this video is go and finish that off so that I can start rerouting vehicles. I'm also going to go around and add waypoints to every junction on the orbital and start looking at adding more coach routes as well. So right now we have 4 coach routes. One to Rinston Airport in the south, one to Great Winfield Airport in the west, one to Wenfingfield Western, also in the west, and one to New Safing Hill Parkway Station, which is on the Network Central line in and out of Gardcity St Bartholomew, which is kind of to like the northeast-ish of the city. I would obviously like to add more coach routes. I want to try and looking at cities and towns right now that have a road connection to Gardcity via the orbital, but don't have any buses or anything of any kind. And I'm going to build bus stations in the centre of these towns and cities, have their own bus routes operating in and around these towns and cities, which may or may not be franchised out to patrons, and then connect them via coaches to Gardcity via Gard Lake. That's the plan. Whether that works or not, I don't know. Right now the coaches aren't profitable, but they're only running every hour. I'm planning on upgrading it so they run every half an hour, and they also only run during daylight, so I might have like a 2-hourly service. What's the word? Bi-hourly? Is that the right way of saying it? Every 2 hours, basically. Oh, here's the dead end road that I was talking about. You can see I was a bit flummoxed there trying to think how to upgrade it, but yeah, there isn't a road to upgrade. That's the problem. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So every 2 hours, maybe have a coach service run through the night, just so that there's something always connecting these places together. So obviously, Wenfingfield and Great Winfield, then they're connected anyway, so there's no issues there. But some of these other towns and cities will need those connections. I think it's a good idea anyway. We'll see. But I want to try and make it, because right now these coaches are only getting transfer credits, which isn't really helping with the profit. I want to change that so that we do end up with vehicles making money. Because right now the company is still not making money. I've actually gone and reduced the purchase costs of vehicles, not so that it makes it cheaper to buy the first time around, but because I'm losing like £2 billion a year in game through auto renew. So I want to stop that being an issue, because that's getting on my nerves. So I reduced the purchase cost of vehicles. That may fix the problem. I think I halved it for buses, planes and ships. I think trains was already half, and I didn't want to halve it again. So they're all on half cost at the moment. Running cost as well, I also reduced slightly. Again, just to try and make these things make money. Because right now, I'm still living off that huge money cheat that I used when I was using the Joker patch. Whereas now I want to actually turn this into a profitable company. You could argue that when people start running their own franchises, the infrastructure costs that they'll give me will make money, but I'd rather not have to rely on that if I can help it. I'd rather be able to make money myself. Also, one more thing, you might notice that I zoomed in on the screen here slightly. I scaled it up to 110%, just so people can read a little bit better what I'm doing. It probably won't work. Knowing my luck, it won't work at all. But I increased the font size and the interface size when I was using this, when I was doing this part of the video, and then I also scaled up the video in post here so that hopefully you can read a little bit better what I'm doing. I'm actually watching the preview on a quarter resolution right now so that hopefully Premiere doesn't freeze. I'm really hoping this audio works. Really hoping this audio works, otherwise I'm going to be very annoyed. But yeah, I want to try and make it easier for people on mobile to read, because again, I don't want to alienate anyone just because you choose to watch on a device with a small screen. I don't think that's very fair. And then yeah, there's that dead end road again. I was thinking about just tunneling underneath and connecting it that way, but I might be a bit cleverer with it and find another way to join them up. Also, I have no idea what happened to that bit of road there. It just seemed to completely disappear for a section. And then there's this section here that runs across the northern part of the city. There's the little thread the needle thing that I was talking about. And then that connects up to the orbital there. So we've kind of got a northern orbital now with that one there, and a southern orbital that create almost like a yin-yang symbol when you actually look at them on the map. They kind of go from like east to central. No, hang on. North to central, I think. And then south to central. Something like that. It works anyway. It works really well as like a little cut through between the... What am I trying to say? So you don't have to go through the centre of the city, basically, or right around the outside on the orbital. You can actually just use these northern and southern orbital roads to kind of bypass parts of the route, which I think is really handy. We got these really awesome motorway junctions. I'm a big fan of that one there, just built in this hole with the western reaches north wrapping around it. I think that looks really cool. But you can also see why I wanted to turn off town building roads, because some of these are very, very annoying. This is Wenfingfield bus station that I've just added to there. I think it's connected to Wenfingfield Western. I think it is. And that's mainly what the coach service is for, is to connect to the bus station, not necessarily the railway station. You can imagine in real life there'd be two separate things, even though in game they are connected as one entity. And then we also have the one here that runs to Great Winfield Airport. Western Terminal, should specify that. And I don't think I needed to when I did the orders, actually, because the Western Terminal, I used the railway station codes for these buses because they're technically operating like trains, so I thought I'd use that. And if they're connected, if I have a bus station connected to a railway station, I always use the railway codes. If I don't, then I make one up. But again, George, if you're watching this, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of bus stations we've got, but I don't suppose you or anyone else actually knows what the designation is for bus stations around the UK. Whether there's a 3-letter code or whether it's a 3-digit number, wherever it might be, let me know. Because again, I want to try and make this as realistic as possible. I did mention the 4 routes, didn't I? Yes. So in the future, I want to have more routes. Renston Interchange is one that I would like to connect up as well via road. These are just ones that are already railway stations. Even stations like Don'tborough, Flame Junction. What have we got to the south? Maybe Buntbourne Parkway as well. Turn that into a bus hub. And not just in and around Gardcity, but across the map. So some of these parkway stations that we've got that currently don't have any bus stops or any bus routes connected to them, I want to kind of go around and turn some of those into proper bus routes as well. Anyway, I'm going to start wrapping up the video here, guys, because I'm pretty much out of time. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Like I said, please leave some feedback down below. If you're a bus expert, I definitely want to hear from you. So feel free to comment down below, or join the Discord and chat there, or join the Reddit server and chat there. Anything is fine. They all have direct routes to me, so any is good with me. Besides all that, if you haven't already hit the like button, be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. If you have already hit the like button, then great. I'm messing up my outro already, but I'm just going to stick with it. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. It's always appreciated with that as well. Like you heard at the start, this whole episode came from a question for the Q&A. So anything can spark the creativity and turn into an episode. So do suggest things. It always helps out. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. That also helps me out. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.